Today, I was at the Cyber Risk Alliance, the official cybersecurity summit in Tampa, Florida. Great event today, local regional event that they host. Lots of cybersecurity people there, all on stage. JD Miller did a great job of hosting. Really, really great event. It's great to go to these regional events and kind of feel the locals there. I had 4 great conversations today. Mark Hardy, great conversation with Mark, fellow podcaster, former military person, has a great podcast now, talks about security. Mike Sears. Mike came up to me with this really, really, really novel security invention, I'm going to call it. Just a new, unique way of looking at security. Really enjoyed my conversation with Mike. I look forward to talking more with Mike. Linton Harris, he's a manager of a SOC, Security Operations Center. What goes on in a SOC? Have you ever been to one? He manages one that's 3 shifts and what happens. It's a fascinating conversation with Linton. And finally with JD Miller himself, Senior Vice President there at Cyber Risk Alliance, former sportscaster, just a really, really great host all day. The energy was way up to the very end where they were raffling. I mean, really great energy from JD. We talk a lot about the event itself, and he's a golfer, and about sports, and about a few other things we talked about. It was a great conversation. I look forward to working with JD in the future. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because of working way too much. Before you know it, I found myself 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. Took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People think there's some secret. Ask me, how'd you lose that weight? Like there's some secret. There is no secret. How'd I lose the weight? Just one word, discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends, colleagues convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission, how do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually ask them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision, growth through learning from others. Tell me what you did in the Navy.
I did everything they told me to do.
Be more specific.
I retired Navy captain, 30 years in what we call surface warfare, driving ships.
Whoa.
And spent a lot of that as a reservist toward the end, simply because I had wanted to go to NSA, and they said the Navy has no need for computer security. You're going to have to go back out to sea.
Wow.
So I said, nope, I'm going to go do computer security. So
in this fast-paced MSP landscape, how do you stay ahead? Introducing MSPinfluencer.com, your ultimate hub for MSP news, insights, and community connection, powered by Forza Dash. More than 75,000 MSPs subscribe to our MSP Influencer Pulse weekly newsletter, staying informed and ahead of industry trends. Tune in to emerging podcasts from Joey Pinz and leading MSP voices, offering essential tips, powerful insights, and success stories. Explore our multi-authored blogs, crafted specifically for MSP leaders, delivering fresh perspectives and actionable strategies. Celebrate excellence with the industry-leading Forza Dash MSP Influencer Awards, recognizing innovation, leadership, and impact in the MSP community. Join thousands of MSP professionals who trust MSPinfluencer.com to grow their business and expand their networks. MSPinfluencer.com, where today's MSP leaders connect, collaborate, and conquer, all powered by the Forza Dash platform, helping MSP vendors work effectively with MSPs and helping MSPs grow. For 30 years there, you're there, though.
Well, yeah, and as a reservist, what you do is you do kind of 1 weekend a month and
I see.
2 weeks in the summer. But when 9/11 happened, I was in Lower Manhattan.
Were you?
And I take it personally, so I spent the last several years of my reserve career on active duty on average of 250 days a year.
Wow.
Now, that'll take a big chunk out of running a business. That's 50 weeks, 50 work weeks.
So when you say you were in Lower Manhattan, the ship was there?
No, remember, at that point I'm a reservist. So
right.
I'm a civilian starting my first day on the job at Ernst & Young to run their Wall Street security practice.
Wow.
And
that was September 11th.
Yep, and it turned out when everything got down, I went down toward the perimeter and asked one of the cops, I said, where's the military? He said, they're forming up in that building. I went in there and I said, who's in charge? And one of the sergeants said, we don't have any officers. I said, I'm an officer, I'll take command. So I was the on-scene commander for 9/11, And in 2 weeks, I'm doing a talk on that at CruiseCon, which is the first really at-sea cybersecurity conference. They did the first one last year, and I've been asked to talk about it now that it's been 25 years. What is it like to have to operate in a leadership role under extreme pressure when all your infrastructure is gone, you have no resources, maybe in the worst case, a lot of dead people, and you've got to organize and respond on the fly. So that's what I'll be working on for
What
that.
did the Navy teach you, Mark, that you still hold today?
The value of your people and why you need to ensure that you develop them. Help people grow in their careers, help them get to the next level. I had a friend of mine I grew up with, she went on to General Motors.
Wow.
And as you know, in a union type of environment, it might be adversarial. And so we would get together from time to time and said, what are you doing? Well, I'm training my replacement. I'm getting ready. Like, you train your replacement? I go, well, of course, it's how we go ahead and we allow our culture to succeed. Because on a ship, you get in combat, you might lose the captain. The executive officer can take over. If you lose the captain and the XO, probably the ops officer. There's always somebody next in line, and that person has to be capable of stepping up. And so it's a different mentality, is you always get people prepared for the next level. And you look for people who aren't trying to stay in their comfort zone. Those are not the people who want to grow.
Wow.
You'll find out that the people that want to grow are saying, hey, what else can I do? Can I learn a little bit more? And that's how you separate early on people in their 20s of who are probably going to be your future leader in their 40s and 50s.
And that's your biggest takeaway. That's an important one.
About your people, yeah.
Did you see that in Ernst Young and in the private sector?
Not well in the private sector, and not always well in the Navy. Because I mentioned I was in what we call surface warfare, and back then we used to have a comment which was SWOs, surface warfare officers, eat their young.
Whoa.
And that means that there was an adversarial. You try to find out what's wrong with your junior officers. You beat them up for every offense they have. And meanwhile, the pilots are all in this big, happy environment where they're taking care of each other. What's the net effect? So you go 20 some odd years later when these people are now captains. And I was on the selection board for selecting officers at the captain pay grade for command.
Wow.
And less than 10% of captains that get command. You're going to work on a staff mostly. And we looked at these performance reports early on for these junior officers from the ships, and they're all bumps and bruises and bings, and they got a left hook there on their performance report. And you look at these pilots, and they all walk on water. Well, who are you going to pick? And so later on, you find out at that more senior ranks that the people whose culture allowed for them to be recognized for the value they're contributing.
Interesting.
Ended up being much more successful in the end because not only the positive feedback loop, but they ended up having a nicer looking record.
And how do you create an environment that lets people grow like that?
Excellent question. You lead by example. You don't go, hey, it's Friday afternoon, this thing's due by Monday, so I'm going off and playing golf. Like, you guys are going to have to work late, I'm staying with you. I might have to go meet somebody, but if I'm going to make my people come in on a Saturday, I'll come in on a Saturday. There's always something to do. But you want to be able to look over and see that, yeah, maybe the commanding officer isn't there digging a ditch with you, but he's there.
But he's still there.
Still there.
Are these exemplary people, Mark, are they extraordinary people doing extraordinary things, or are they just normal people doing extraordinary things?
They're normal people doing normal things in an extraordinary way. Don't look for heroism,
Right.
okay? You say, hey, I want to go be a hero. You might never see combat.
Right.
But there's a lot of things you can do in an amazingly good way that are going to help the people around you and help your business or your command, if you will, from a military perspective.
Should everybody serve?
Should everybody serve? No. A lot of people are not fit for service. Last time I looked at it, 78% of American youth would not meet the physical fitness requirements, the mental health requirements, the drug use requirements, and things such, or criminal record requirements. Urban tends to be a little bit worse, but it's a young person's game.
Yeah.
I look at it and said, hey, come on, I can go back and I can run a keyboard as well as anybody else. Said, yeah, but you're not going to carry a 50-pound rucksack up the side of a mountain. I don't need to anymore. But we're still, from a personnel perspective, oriented that way. But what I do think is valuable is that anybody who is capable should consider doing that as part of their life journey. Why? You'll learn something very important. As a teenager, let's face it, you're probably one of the most narcissistic entities on the planet. Everything's been done for you. Right. Mom's there for you. Dad's there for you. You get a new bicycle for Christmas. Everything's taken care of. And so at 18, it's all about me. When you go to something like a boot camp, they tear that down. And not because they're trying to hurt you. They want to build you back up, that you think of yourself as we. You look at the person next to you, I'll take care of him or her, even risk my life for that person. And that's why people in combat will risk their lives. They're not doing it for God and country. They don't really care about, they're not thinking about the Constitution of the United States of America. They're thinking, he's in trouble and I can save him.
Wow. You showed me a picture of your Pomeranian. What does that do for you? Having a pet for you, how does it improve your life?
Well, she's my executive assistant.
Yes, you mentioned.
And so she keeps my desk organized at all times. And I didn't grow up with dogs. And like a lot of things that I find in life, there's compromises. My wife said she wanted dogs, and I did not, so I have dogs. My wife wanted to go to Florida. I did not. I live in Florida. I could go on, but I won't. The point is that you adapt to your environment and make the best of it.
Yes. Yes. You were at Northwestern.
Yes.
Were you raised in Chicago?
No, grew up in Buffalo, New York.
I was going to say.
Which is a good place to be from right about now when it's minus 7 degrees and about 2 feet of snow.
I don't hear any Chicago in your voice at all. I can see Western New York happening, though. And you were there for your formative years through high school?
That is correct. 18 years, same house.
Wow. And lake effect snow, your favorite friend?
Well, it usually went south of us.
You were a little bit north.
We're in Buffalo in the north suburbs. Rarely will get lake effect.
Right.
It's going to go down Orchard Park, down where the football stadium is, things like that, West Seneca. And you can get as much as 6 feet of snow in a weekend.
Amazing.
It's happened.
With very little warning.
Yeah, and I look around like everybody else is panicking, like there's 2 inches of snow, we should shut down the schools. It's like, we go to school unless you can't see the roof of the house. Okay, fine. You got to climb out the chimney. Yeah, we're not Santa. We're staying home.
I mentioned that you have a great radio voice, and you said that you went to the radio station there on campus but didn't stick around.
No, I was 18 years old, and people said, hey, you sound like a great voice. Go to the radio station. So I did. WNUR, I think, Northwestern University Radio. Walked in the door, knocked, went there.
What if discipline wasn't about punishment, but about unlocking your best self? I spent 2.5 years writing Discipline for Greatness because discipline changed my life. And I know it can change yours too. This isn't theory. Inside, you'll find real, practical steps you can use immediately to focus better, build stronger habits, reduce stress, accomplish your goals, and bring more balance to your life. Whether you're trying to get healthier, improve your career, or simply feel more control, this book gives you the framework. Start today. Grab your copy of Discipline for Greatness at joeypinz.com/book. Thank you.
There's nobody there, and I look over at the turntable and Stairway to Heaven. Yeah, the guy's in the bathroom. And I'm 18 years old. I got the attention span of an 18-year-old, so I walked out the door, and I never went back.
Oh. And now, how did you enter the cybersecurity world?
I found out at the age of 15 I could get any computer I wanted to.
And what year is this, Mark?
Oh, no. Come on. You're going to date me.
80s?
73.
73. So what kind of computers were around then?
IBM mainframes.
Right, they're all mainframe. Punch cards?
Punch cards, also
COBOL?
Terminals and things like that. No, actually, the first language I learned was APL, a programming language, which is kind of a dead language, but it's a mathematical notation.
Yeah.
And having picked up a degree in math as well as computer science, I would drive my math teacher nuts because I would write all my notes in APL.
Wow.
And he hated APL, by the way.
Yeah. Never really lasted. We were taught Pascal. I'm a little younger.
Remember that.
And that's purely an
Borland
academic.
Pascal. And Philippe Borland is an interesting story in and of himself.
Yes, I remember Borland, Who did get? I haven't heard their name in 20 years.
Nope. He got his money. He went somewhere else.
Yeah.
You get bought out, you retire. Or like McAfee, you get bought out and you go off the rails.
Well, yeah, that's a big story there. So you were learning APL, you were doing punch cards in the 70s, but cybersecurity wasn't really an issue then.
It wasn't, but what was interesting is that when I had chose to try to do that in the Navy career, say I sold my soul for my college degree. They said, hey, we'll give you 4 years at Northwestern, you give us 4 years at sea. It's like, well, I don't have any money, and yeah, that works. It turned out that I clearly loved the Navy, and then I had the opportunity to go to NSA, and I said, great, I'm going to apply for it, and I went out and interviewed it and did the polygraph, and they said, ta-da, there you are, there's your orders to NSA. Well, I didn't go through normal channels. So I got this nasty call from Washington. Lieutenant, what are you trying to do? I said, I'm trying to go to NSA. I said, why would you do that? I want to do computer security. Now, here's a quote for the ages. The Navy has no need for computer security, Lieutenant. You're going to go back out to sea.
Wow.
It's like, I just had 5 years of sea duty. I've got a shore tour coming. And then the big lie. You take this job at NSA, kiss your career goodbye, you'll never make it past lieutenant. Wow. Well, I didn't know it was a lie. I'm 26 years old or whatever. So
why would they lie?
Detailers are the people who get credit for putting square pegs in square holes and round pegs in round holes when they're assigning people to their next duty assignment. And often we find out that a lot of these detailers, if you look at admirals' records, a lot of them you'll find out they were a detailer at some point in line.
Wow.
They learn how the whole system works, and oh, by the way, the best job goes to themselves at the end.
Jeez.
In any case, I was trying to go against the grain. And here's the irony. So I said, okay, I can't do what I want to do. I'll leave active duty, go to the reserves, went to work for Booz Allen, learned how to be a good blue chip consultant, went to work for a startup, and then started my own company. But as you can see from the name tag, National Security Corporation. I named it after the job I never got. And anyway, here's the irony. A year later, another guy, 5 years at sea, same situation, went to NSA. But if you will, he drank the Kool-Aid and changed his designator to become a cryptologist. And Admiral Mike Rogers became the director of the NSA 30 years later.
Wow.
So you never know in life what that butterfly effect is going to do for you.
And what is it about security that you like?
It's the intellectual challenge. For me, it's a chance to fix and do things right and protect people. I'm not into breaking. My son is a red teamer. He's very good at it. He runs a team for a company, and they like to break stuff. I said, hey, the real challenge isn't going ahead and knocking the chess pieces on the floor. It's winning the game. It's creating a position that the attackers can't defeat. And so I've always really gravitated toward that. That's why I started a podcast called CISO Tradecraft for Chief Information Security Officers, and it helps people with their careers in advancing along those lines to learn not only what you need to understand about technology, not at a deep technical level, you don't need that as a CISO, but what do you also need to understand from an organizational behavior perspective, and getting back to my Navy roots, leading people.
And you love it.
So far, so good.
Do you ever sympathize with the attackers?
Explain.
I was once, I talked to somebody at, I forget, one of the big companies, and they were saying that a lot of the Eastern European, these bad actors, that there's an actual kind of jealousy of, you know, the West. They get to have these big jobs, and they get to, you know, make a lot of money, and, you know, we don't have any access to that. Therefore, we want to infiltrate them, or, you know, trying to make money. Do you ever try to get in the heads of these bad actors? I
had heard a little anecdote years ago where an American and a European are kind of walking down the street, and a big limousine goes by. And the European looks to the other guy and he says, why should anybody have that kind of money? And the American looks back and said, someday I'm going to have that kind of money. So it's a different cultural basis. Do you look at the other person and feel jealous? I feel sorry for you. Do you look at the other person and feel inspired to achieve more, to try harder, to discipline yourself, to go ahead? And on a Friday night when your buddies are out drinking, you're there going ahead and building a virtual machine or testing out a new command set or things like that. It's why we get a lot of introverts in cybersecurity, because it works very well from a personality perspective to say, I'm working with these machines, I'm working with other people perhaps that are like-minded. I don't have to go ahead and risk myself socially in an outside environment where I'm going to face a lot of rejection.
What keeps you up at night about cybersecurity? What are you worried
Well, these
about?
days it's my dog because she gets up at 4 in the morning.
You need a new administrative assistant.
And I got to get up and take her out at 4 in the morning. So I start my mornings very early now, and it's great. I do my best writing for early in the morning.
Yeah, you love it, though. You love security.
So far, so good.
And the podcast?
The podcast it's great. I've got 42,000 followers on YouTube. I've got, we're up in the 30,000. I forget what the number is, probably 20-some-odd-thousand on LinkedIn. I should go back and take a look.
And what do you talk about?
Well, we talk about those things that we're going to help people in their cybersecurity careers at the executive level, getting to the executive level, helping with people management, and then understanding the technology that would be necessary to either communicate to the board, communicate to other senior peers, or just to have credibility so when you're dealing with a technical team, you're not the pointy-haired boss who doesn't know what you're talking about.
So we're here at the big Cybersecurity Summit by Cyber Risk Alliance. What are some of your goals today, Mark?
Well, I had a chance to keynote this last year. That was a nice thing. Bradford was very kind about that. This year, though, I just want to sit back. I want to meet some of the vendors. A lot of these vendors that you see here have been on my podcast, but what I like to look for are startups, people who are trying to get out the starting gate. I know what it's like. I've done a number of startups. And maybe give them a break. I said, hey, how would you like some exposure? You're not going to get any other way. Here you get foot traffic. People come by, they kick the tires, they take your socks, and you scan their badge. But most of these people can't write a check.
Right.
My listeners have paychecks. They can write checks, and because of the decision makers. So what a better audience to create. Because I worked booths for 25 years,
right.
And it's frustrating. So I solved my problem and solved the problem for thousands of others as well.
Mark, is there a question that you wish more people would ask you?
Maybe it's that one right there, because
which one?
The one you just asked me right now, because it causes me to be reflective,
yeah.
And as a result, I'm not going to shoot from the hip. So I'll get back to you later in the day with a better answer.
Is there something 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, that you believed in firmly that you no longer believe in?
I think all belief systems evolve. We don't remain static. And if I'm trying to think about what did I believe back then, I was very early in on cryptocurrency, a mathematician. And I looked at Bitcoin. I had some very early on. And I said, the only business purpose I can come up with for these things is money laundering and organized crime. And in fact, I sold my Bitcoin to clients who got ransomware. And I said, An executive trying to buy Bitcoin is like a grandmother trying to buy heroin. They don't know where to go. And so I bought it for like $400 and sold it for $600 and put it on my tax return. I actually was one of the first people claiming actual income, not a bunch, but I never reloaded the cannon. Well, now we go ahead and we say, cryptocurrency is in the purview of governments and politicians. And I say, organized crime and money laundering. The goal hasn't changed. So had I held on to my Bitcoin back then, I wouldn't be spending time with you here now. You'd be visiting me on my private island.
So I started my MSP back in the 90s, and I was working way too hard. I'm from the Northeast. I'm from New Haven, so same parallel line as Buffalo. And I was working way too hard, not paying attention to myself. I'm at the doctor. She tells me I'm at 340 pounds. So I gained all this terrible amount of weight. She says to me, if you don't lose this weight, you're not going to see your daughter graduate.
Wow.
Scared the life out of me, Mark. I'm driving home, punching the steering wheel. My daughter was just born. I can make all these bad decisions for myself, but it's much bigger now. Spent the next 6-7 months, lost about 130 pounds, kept it off. These are lifelong changes. You can't look at them as a finishing line. When I tell this, people always say, what's your secret? What you do? I would say discipline. Focus, routine. There's your answer. How does discipline play a role in your life, Mark?
Well, first of all, I'm only half the man that you used to be. Pretty skinny.
Yes, you are.
That discipline starts not with a logical decision. Because logically, every time you ate and went from 200 to 201 to 202 to 203, maybe I shouldn't do this. And anybody who takes a cigarette, maybe I shouldn't do this. Or somebody who doesn't exercise, I probably should. all those logical things that if we did it because it were logical, we'd eat 3 square meals a day, we'd be exercising regularly, we'd be saving for our retirement, we had no consumer debt, and all these things we'd be doing just right. It's not what happens.
Right.
But exactly what happened to you is what makes people change. The emotional hook.
That's right.
Left brain doesn't drive. Right brain makes the turns. And so what happens is when you're not going to see your daughter graduate, wow, that'll get your attention right away. And somebody who's a chain smoker, I'm going to give this up, I'm going to give this up, and I give this up, and their little daughter jumps on their lap and puts her hands around and says, Daddy, I don't want you to die, I want you to dance at my wedding. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There it goes. But not because it was logical. So what you find then is you get leverage on your life to make important changes by being able to create an emotional state. Tony Robbins made a career of this and also made a lot of money doing it by helping people activate those emotions. The danger is if you're a cybersecurity professional, all left brain, Mr. Spock, logical and things such as that, you don't have access to that emotional panel. And if your response when you're under stress is to rope-a-dope and turn off the emotions so that you can go ahead and just deal with it, you're never going to get out of the ditch. So learn to feel, learn to experience life, and you'll be able to make better changes.
Want to show your love for discipline, inspiration, and the Joey Pinz podcast? Now's your chance. Introducing the brand new Joey Pinz merch store, where style meets discipline. Choose from premium apparel, cozy hoodies, stylish hats, durable bags, and your new favorite coffee mug, all featuring the iconic Joey Pinz logo. Perfect for podcast fans, discipline enthusiasts, or as unique gifts for friends and family. Every purchase supports the Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations podcast, helping us continue to inspire greatness and promote positive change. Visit joeypinz.com/store today and wear your discipline proudly. Joey Pinz merch. Wear it, share it, and live it. Wonderful anecdote. Mark, thanks for your time. Anybody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
You can get a hold of me by going to CISO Tradecraft and watch my show, or GM Hardy at CISOTradecraft.com. Send me a note and be happy to go ahead and discuss further.
Mark, thanks for your time today. Wonderful conversation.
Joey, thanks. Great running into you here.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypinz.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.